So the next question we have is explain what is meant by the wisdoms of hearing, contemplation, and meditation. How are each important and how do they support one another? So this is pretty straightforward. We have the wisdom of hearing, means the knowledge that we acquire through either listening to the teachings or reading. And then contemplation is to then reflect on the teachings, and in particular I always suggest that people try to find connections from what they're studying now with things they might have studied in the past, other texts, other presentations of similar concepts. Try to think through some of the logical consequences, some of the potential doubts, some of the arguments against what you're trying to read. So using our analytic wisdom, not just blindly accepting what we're reading. And then meditation is to then, we do this practice of analytic meditation. So on the meditation cushion to then analyze. And then when we reach certain conclusions, then we allow that conclusion to sink into our mind, so we have a deeper, more transformative experience. So then how are each important and how do they support one another? Well, it comes in that order, right? So especially because a lot of the concepts that we are studying, like emptiness, like the Four Noble Truths, are difficult, then we need to rely on authentic commentaries that explain the meaning accurately. And so that is the wisdom of hearing. And then, it's not just about receiving the right answer. Like, okay, all phenomena lack inherent existence, and then somehow we're liberated. But we have to use our own analytic wisdom to combat the ignorance within our own mind. So, we're not going to overcome the ignorance that grasps the true existence just by, reciting like a mantra. Oh, phenomena are not truly existent. Phenomena are not truly existent. That does, very little. Rather, we have to, use the analysis and contemplate and have it affect our mind on a more deep level. And then meditation, of course, after that analysis, is done, to again and again familiarize ourselves and getting more sort of experience with a concentrated level of the mind, so that it can have a deeper impact. Okay, so the next question, there were these two stanzas from His Holiness the Dalai Lama. Some modern scholars describe Buddhism not as a religion, but as a science of mind, and there seems to be some grounds for this claim. And then there is another question from Lama Yeshe's text, but I'm not seeing it on the Google Doc now. Anyway, there's another quotation from Lama Yeshe, and then it says, are they contradictory? Is Buddhism a religion or a science of mind? Why? So here, there's no right or wrong answer. I was just trying to have you think about these things, and with some of these essay questions, then yeah, there's no right or wrong answer. It all is about to see your process of reasoning. So whether you say yes, Buddhism is a religion, or no, it's not, then again, the answer isn't so important, but I want to understand why you think in one way or another. So like that. I will say now, it's interesting because Professor Robert Thurman, who many of you know, he famously said that Buddhism is 1/3 religion. So yeah, 33% religion. So of course there are some elements of it, of what the Buddha taught that could be characterized as religion. There are other parts that you can characterize as being a philosophical system. There's some parts that you can characterize as a nature of the mind. But what all those various facets have, remember, do not commit a single negative action, accumulate a host of virtuous actions, to thoroughly subdue one's own mind. This is the teaching of Buddha. So everything that the Buddha taught were methods, means to subdue the mind. So for some, then the devotional practices that are there can be very beneficial for the mind. Others with a more, say, scientific, analytic bent could not be drawn to those more quote-unquote religious aspects, but be more attracted to the philosophy, some of the psychological insights and so forth. So anyway, the Buddha taught whatever was needed to subdue the minds of sentient beings. So that's why this plurality of different kinds of teachings came about. So next we have what is samsara, what are its causes, what is liberation and its causes, how can we know that liberation is possible? If we consider the Buddhist view that the mind is without beginning, why are we not liberated yet? All right, so here again, a multi-part question. Quite a few of you didn't answer all the parts. So anyway, here, again, to review, what is samsara? Samsara is the cycle of uncontrolled rebirth due to karma and afflictions. Okay, what are its causes? Karma and afflictions. So sometimes you'll see it talked about as contaminated karma. Contaminated karma basically means, contaminated by the grasping to the self. So it's important to know that, even the virtuous actions that we do, it is contaminated by the view of a self. But when we do good actions, when we create virtue, it will ripen as, happiness, but it is happiness within samsara. So, the karma that projected this human rebirth that I have was good karma, but it was done sort of stained or contaminated by the view of the inherent existence of the self, which I have not yet abandoned. And therefore, I've taken rebirth in samsara, but the affliction was there, but the karma was a good contaminated karma, and that led to a good rebirth. Okay, so what is liberation? Liberation, then, is the abandonment of the causes of samsara, means the karma and afflictions. And in particular, perhaps more precisely, liberation is the abandonment of samsara. So we abandon the cycle of rebirth due to karma and afflictions. Now, what actually ends up happening, we abandon samsara through abandoning the afflictions, because at the time of death, previously accumulated karmic imprints are activated by craving and grasping, which are afflictions. And so the arhats, or those who attain individual liberation for themselves alone, they still have many karmic imprints in their mental continuum. But because the cooperating condition of the afflictions is abandoned, then those karmic imprints, those karmic seeds, as it were, don't have the cooperative conditions to be activated to project another rebirth within samsara. So that is how liberation is attained. Okay, so liberation is the abandonment of samsara, being the cycle of rebirth due to causing afflictions. It's attained through abandoning the afflictions. Abandoning the afflictions happens through realizing emptiness. not just realizing emptiness or the ultimate nature of all phenomena, but meditating again and again until we have not just a conceptual understanding, but a direct realization, a direct perception of emptiness. And then we continue to meditate on emptiness again and again. And gradually we come to abandon all of the afflictions as well as their potential to arise again in our mental continuum. Okay, so how can we know that liberation is possible? Well, here it's related to the thought of Buddha nature, but especially we can know that liberation is possible because, well, as Nagarjuna says, those for whom emptiness is possible, everything is possible. Those for whom emptiness is not possible, then nothing is possible, right? So once we come to identify that phenomena lack all inherent existence, we come to see that this mind that grasps onto inherent existence, then that is the cause of all of samsara. And then by understanding that it's based on this misapprehension, this distorted view of reality, then we can understand that it can be abandoned. And since it can be abandoned, then liberation is possible. All right, then if we consider the Buddhist view that the mind is without beginning, why are we not liberated yet? This is something I thought about some years ago, and it kind of puzzled me. Although if, for example, we took a six-sided die and, continue to roll it with infinite time, at one time or another, we would have rolled, 6 a billion times in a row, no matter how unlikely, given infinite, unlimited time, things will happen sooner or later. But the attainment of liberation isn't just a random occurrence like rolling a die, but rather is necessary on accumulating the causes. So we are not liberated because we haven't accumulated the causes of liberation. We haven't realized emptiness. Although the mind is beginningless, if we don't abandon the causes for samsara, we'll never be liberated. If we don't realize emptiness, then although it's been beginningless time since we've been reborn, then we'll always be reborn in the future until we develop the antidote for samsara, which is the mind realizing emptiness. Okay.